In this video, you will learn how to submit a report to Long Beach Health Department when you receive a positive COVID case. First, you will learn which positive cases you need to report. Next, you'll learn how to complete and maintain a cumulative line list using our Cases and Contacts line list template. Lastly, you will learn how to use the VOC platform to submit a report and upload your completed cumulative line list. First, which positive cases do schools need to report? Schools need to report all positive staff and student cases within 24 hours, regardless of whether or not they exposed other staff or students on campus. They are not required to report if the case has not been on campus within 14 days before their symptom onset, or if asymptomatic, their test date. For example, Dana Smith, a fourth grader, became symptomatic on September 1st. She tested positive on September 3rd. She was last on campus on August 31st. Do you need to report this case? Yes, you need to report this case because August 31st and September 1st are within 14 days of each other. Here's another example. Mark Jones, a science teacher, went on vacation and worked from home on August 30th. He developed symptoms that same afternoon and tested positive on September 3rd. The last time he was on campus was July 12th for a meeting. Do you need to report this case? No, you do not need to report this case because July 12th and August 30th are more than 14 days apart. How do you complete and maintain a cumulative line list? First, you need to download the current template online. Go to longbeach.gov/COVID-19 edu to get to our school page. Scroll down to School Case and Contact Line List and click on the link. This should download an Excel file that looks like this. There are 3 tabs at the bottom. The first tab is for positive students and staff. The second tab is for exposed students or staff. And the third tab is the instructions. Let's start with the first tab. This is where you will complete information about all positive cases in the school. Begin by filling out their last and first name and select their role at school from the drop-down list, either student, staff, or other. If the case is a staff member, select their job classification from the drop-down list in the following column. If they are a student, fill in their grade in the next column. For both students and staff, fill in the locations where they mostly stayed at school. This would be their classroom or office locations. And for students who report to multiple classrooms each day, please list each location. Complete the rest of the columns. Are they in a sport or other extracurricular activity? If yes, please list. What is their date of birth? What is their race, ethnicity, residential address? What is their residential city? And what is their phone number? If they were ever experiencing symptoms, select yes from the drop-down list on this next column. Find out when their symptoms started and write that date on the symptom onset date column. If they were not symptomatic or their symptomatic status is unknown, select either no or unknown from the drop-down list. Next, fill in their test date and select test result, either positive or presumptive positive, from the drop-down list. In the next column, select their vaccination status from the drop-down list. Yes, meaning fully vaccinated, partial, no, or unknown. Then fill in their last day on campus. Were they in close contact with a staff or student that was previously positive? Select either yes, no, or unknown. Did they have close contact to a positive case outside of school? Select either yes, no, or unknown. For example, a student that had a parent in their household that had tested positive, you would select yes in that case. In the next 2 columns, how many staff members were exposed to this case? And then how many students? You'll want to input the numbers here. Remember that for TK through 12 and up, that means anyone within 6 feet from the case for 15 minutes or longer, cumulative, in a 24-hour time span. For facilities with students younger than 5 years old, This would be everyone in the positive cases cohort. In the second to last column here, have all unvaccinated close contacts been notified to quarantine? And then any additional comments can be added on the last column. Next, we'll complete the second tab. This is where we will be listing close contacts for each positive case. Again, we'll begin by filling out the first and last names and selecting their role at school from the drop-down list. Again, for staff members, you'll want to select their job classification from the drop-down list, room numbers, and the office locations where they were exposed. And in the next columns, fill in their date of birth, home address, and phone number. We'll also want to indicate in the next column the name of the positive student or staff that they were exposed to, and the last exposure date to this positive case. This will usually match the case's last day on campus. Now we'll indicate whether or not this individual was quarantined by selecting from the drop-down menu, yes, no, or unknown. And then in the next drop-down, we'll indicate whether or not they will be doing a modified quarantine. And we'll go over that really quickly. So remember that modified quarantine is only for mask-on-mask exposures. Those who are eligible need to test twice a week, continue to wear a mask, and remain asymptomatic. They may continue to come to class, but they cannot participate in any extracurricular activities. Shortened quarantine, however, means that they can test as early as 5 days after the exposure and may return to all activities on the 8th day after exposure. Fully vaccinated individuals and those who have tested positive in the last 90 days and have recovered do not need to quarantine when exposed to a positive case. We'll continue by filling in their quarantine end date and return dates. These can be easily calculated using the date calculator included with your training materials. And then we'll indicate the vaccination status of the individual by using the drop-down list here. This column, we will indicate by writing either yes or no whether or not this individual was symptomatic. And if yes, we'll go ahead and write the symptom onset date in this column. Any additional notes can be written in this last column here. And you will notice that certain columns for both the positive student or staff and exposed students or staff have asterisks. These indicate the most important columns for reporting. If necessary for timely reporting, just these selected columns on both tabs may be filled out and submitted. In these cases, the remaining information should be added and turned in as soon as possible. At this point, you'll go ahead and save this file, and we'll continue to submitting the report. How do you submit a report and upload your updated line list? On longbeach.gov/COVID-19 edu, we'll go ahead and scroll down and click on School Reporting Portal. This will take you to a website called VOCI. Here, you'll fill in your school or organization name, your position title or role, and an email and phone number for contact. Scroll down, and here you will upload the Excel file that we just completed. And select the I'm not a robot. At this point, you will be able to click Submit, and you have submitted your report. For future cases, please continue to add on to the same list so that you have a cumulative list for the 2021 through 2022 school year, and send it as a new report on VOCI. Now that you've completed the reporting process, a school team member from the Long Beach Health Department will be contacting you to verify the information that you submitted, to provide guidance, and to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much for going through this training with us. If you have any questions, you may contact us through the CDCP main line at 562-570-4302 or via email at covid19edu@longbeach.gov. Thank you again.